MEP Ciaran Mullooly, we're here in Strasbourg where the European Parliament session was underway today. Now, a motion came up in relation to safeguards for the Mercosur trade deal, and I know I was speaking to you previously on a podcast with Agriland where you said you're always in favour of safeguards and anything that protects farmers. But today's vote now, you didn't vote in favour of those safeguards. So why was that?
Well, actually, two things happened today. We had the vote and then something happened afterwards. Firstly, there were two important motions up. But before that, on the agenda today, we had a motion in regard to the trialogue negotiations. That was the first actual motion amendment in that file. And I wanted the trialogues to be rejected. I wanted that process to continue. Because in the trialogues, we have the Commission and the Parliament fighting it out with regard to the Mercosur deal and the safeguards, effectively. So I backed that motion. I signed it to go through, and regrettably, it did not go through. So that was a blow for me, I think, for starters, because I want that process to be relooked. We're not happy with the safeguards as they were. That was my position going in today. Subsequent to the vote then after this afternoon, I actually changed my stance on the situation. When I reviewed our defeat this morning, I said to myself, well, you know, if I don't support the safeguards as they are left now, we'll have no safeguards at all. So I actually voted in favour of the safeguards. I changed my stance after the plenary this morning. And I did so for one reason. I said to myself, if we go back, I'm opposed to Mercosur. There's no change in my overall situation. I'm opposed to Mercosur. But at the end of the day, it would be irresponsible of me to ignore the opportunity to have some type of safeguard in place. That's what I said to you previously. We have to have something in place. Now, an example of this, last Thursday I tried to bring forward an amendment that would bring down the alarm bell, as I call it, to 3% of a distortion of the market. I tried to get support for that among MEPs, including Irish MEPs last week. I needed 35. I didn't get that. So that was, if you like, the reason I was fighting against the safeguards. At the end of the day, I'm a realist. I have to accept that if we were to go forward down the road with no safeguards at all, it would not be a good situation. And that's why I changed my stance this afternoon and actually voted in favour of what is left of the safeguards.
Are you hopeful that such safeguards, we all know your stance in relation to the provisional application of the trade deal, but if the trade deal comes in provisionally, brought in by the European Commission, are you at least happy then that you voted for some safeguards, as you mentioned there?
Listen, they are safeguards. They're better than nothing. That's my attitude to this situation. Some of them are much better than nothing. Others are things that should have been improved. I have to say, I tried last week to get it back down to 3%, not 5%. I put down safeguards myself previously, so I have fought that battle while at the same time being opposed to Mercosur. I think what we're left with now is a set of measures that are untested. We're going to have to see, hopefully, in my opinion, hopefully we won't get an opportunity to see them, because I'm still not giving in terms of the provisional implementation of this deal. But hopefully, if and when they are used, we're going to have to test them. They're going to have to be assessed, audited, and see if they're workable. I still remain sceptical about them, whether or not they're practical. I mean, in 27 member states, who is going to evaluate that the distortion in the market is actually 5%? Who's going to adjudicate across 27 markets, if you like, albeit in the common market, that we've reached this 5% threshold and everything should stop? I'm sceptical about how it's going to work. But at the end of the day, they are better than nothing. That's the policy I took at the end of the day. I had to be realistic, and that's why I voted the way I did.
Fantastic. MEP Ciaran Mullooly, thank you very much for joining us on Agriland.
No problem. Thank you.